Hey guys, it's Zekin. This episode is gonna be very exciting because I'm gonna be starting work on the very much anticipated and long waited for Arabian castle that I have been talking about and promoting over the last couple of videos. This castle was very much inspired by the obvious Arabian, Persian, kind of Moroccan architecture. It's really like kind of in between that fairy tale look and a more realistic look. A lot of the vintage pack archways were really useful in this build because obviously if I were to build that piece by piece, the piece count in this game would like skyrocket and I wouldn't have like, right now I think it's about 3,300 pieces in total. Imagine if Planet Coaster didn't bless us with the vintage pack. It would be like over like maybe 5,000 or maybe even like 6,000 pieces, I don't know. But right now, as you can see, I used the vintage pack archways for the side windows and also the Moroccan short wall with that nice like decal kind of design piece on top of it, and it really came out really well, and I'm really happy with the way the short wall looks. The whole color combination of this build is really like, I really wanted to tone it down with like, so right now I use most of the adventure, like this whole castle is made of like, well, not a castle, it's a palace. Yeah, I would like to rephrase myself. It's a palace. I think they prefer to call it castle. So where was I? I was talking about, this was actually sketched out pre-sketched out on paper before I actually started work on the whole castle. So I usually start working on paper, then I would go to Open Planet Coaster and do work on the castle. So now, as you can see, sometimes I would have like I think that's a really big pause, a moment. I think I went out to get something and I forgot to cut that out of the video. But feel free to skip ahead to the part where it's playing. So right now, as you can see, I'm putting the arch, like the using the gold adventure pieces. I really like the texture of the gold from the adventure pack. It looks really nice and it really came out nicely. I think a lot of people like using the gold texture because it has this like metallic rocky feel to it that you can't really get in any other piece in the game. And I think somebody has been able to successfully recreate that from the Theme Maker's Toolkit, but it's still not as good as the one from the adventure pack. Like Frontier and animating and their models and textures are always on point. So right now I'm starting to do work on the pillar, which is gonna have a spire on the top, which is mostly common in this kind of architecture. They're usually like, I don't know what they call them, but they're like tall, like they're usually like tall column pieces with like an onion dome on top of them, and I really like the way it's like the symmetry of the whole thing. So I decided to use these gold pieces and then make them like spiral around the building, and it really gave it that like a really nice kind of texture to the whole column, and it really gave it a nice design than just being like plain and just boring. So right now you can see I'm placing more down and making it, because some didn't really get to the top. So I've made the onion dome pieces from using the theme maker's toolkit in Planet Coaster, and so you can go check it out. It's on the Steam Workshop if you want to check it out. I use those a lot in this build to get like the references of how it's shaped and stuff like that. So you can also use it if you want to make your own kind of Persian, Arabian kind of Islamic architecture. So right now I'm trying to figure out what's gonna complement like the base of the spire before I put the main onion dome piece. And so I settled on more of these gold adventure pieces to like make a band around the column before I actually place it, to just make it look aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Then as you can see, I have them like, there's a large piece, very large piece, I think that's about 6 meters in diameter, and then there's a 4-meter piece, and then there's also like a very like the tiny piece which is like 2 meters in diameter. I will leave a link to it on the Steam Workshop if you want to check it out. So right now I'm trying to figure out the right height of the spires, and so I didn't really settle on that until I actually made the main like center wall piece set, please. The main center wall piece. So yeah, I really utilize the adventure pieces in this build a lot, as I said previously, and as you can see I'm using those the same pieces I used for the spires. I use them to make the rounded edges for this build, because most of the time I see people make it really sharp, really harsh sharp edges for like Arabian builds. Like most of the things I see, like sharp edges are not common with Stucca, so I settled for the column pieces, and I really think it came out really well, and I was really happy with that. So right now I'm putting more adventure pieces down to make it look nice and adding the blue color to it, and like you can see I'm panning back and forth to see how good it looks with the distance. And I think at the end it kind of popped out, but parts of it were kind of blending a little with the sky in the game because it's also blue, so I kind of hinted the color to maybe a bit more purplish bluish. So you see right now I'm putting down, using the gold pieces from the adventure pack to accent the edges of the corner of this archway, because I usually see that this is usually common most in Arabian Islamic architecture builds, and so I used to see this a lot. Like they'll like accent their edges and make it look nice and clean, and make like they have like interesting geometric designs they put at the edges, and so I just settled for using that in this build. So you see right now I'm using the Moorish piece that came with the World's Fair pack, and I use that a lot in this build to like create the edges for the parapet for the walls. So right now I'm using, at first I wanted to use just like the plain onion dome piece that I made, but then I was like, no, that's gonna look a little bit too plain, so I decided to use these adventure pieces and line them up to shape to the edges of the onion dome, so it has the same shape as the others too. So I think it really gave it more like a more nice realistic stony feel to it, and it's really nice. This spire like mainly resembles the spire used in like the Saint Basil's Cathedral in Moscow, Russia. So I really got a lot of inspiration from that. And it's not necessarily an Islamic dome, I know, but it's all nice and ties in well with the whole vibe of the build. And so you see, I used the gems. I settled for the gems instead of the gold pieces, and instead of recoloring the gold pieces to make them look blue, I settled for the gems because I think they have this nice glow to them and reflection that the gold pieces don't have, and that's what I achieved from this this dome piece. So I was really happy with how that top dome came out. I really think it makes the building stand out of the background. And as you can see, this is I'm making this side left wing of the castle. I actually sketched this out and just following it from the paper. And so there's a left wing, and then there's a pavilion section with those 3 archways where like you can just walk through, and then that's like where they would normally like the centralizing area, and where the common room would be, as you could say. I think it's called common room, where the common room would be, so guests would be able to socialize and come out. If it was a real castle per se, they would go from the main entrance into the right wing, which houses the pavilion area. And I think mostly the left wing and upper section would be for like the main confidential area, and then like the left wing would be for the like the chambers of the king and stuff like that, and then the upper section would be like for the house in the family of the emperor or something like that. But I'm not really sure about Arabian or Islamic hierarchies. And so right now I'm putting right now I'm trying to figure out what to put on top of those columns, and I settled for this piece, which is from the Queen Dynasty's piece, which came from the World's Fair pack. And so I think it really came out really well with this build. So not only I used the Moorish piece, I think other packs really helped bring out the Arabian vibe from this build. And so you can see I'm trying to accent the archway using the Queen Dynasty. I keep pronouncing it as Queen. I think it's Qin Dynasty pieces, which is like from the angular piece, which is like meant to be placed on. I synced it into the wall and used that to accent that edge in the corner of those spires. So as you can see, I'm copying down this edge here, And I did that because I wanted to retain that roundness throughout this castle, because this is the main thing that makes this castle stand out from the So now, as you can see, there's a lot of forced perspective in this build per se. As you can see, the top pieces, like the top archway pieces, are the small version than the one at the bottom. So when you're walking from the main street, it looks like it's in the distance smaller as you as it goes from the top, like usually we see in Disney castles. As it goes closer to the top, the height becomes shorter, giving the illusion of it being extremely tall. As you come from the main street, you think that those windows are extremely further away and further taller than they are really, but when you actually see and put like the archer down, you could see that that's like the head, like it chops the head off of the archer when you place them to see the height relation as to the actual height of the peeps in the game. So right now, as you can see, I'm using the Arabian Lanterns we got from the World's Fair pack, and then I was trying to see if I could balance it out, but I later kind of deleted discarded of that edge, the edge spire at that edge, and just made it a rounded edge and put like as you can see right now, and I put like a plant inside that top to make it look, and it looked really nice. Really happy with the way this build came out, and hope so right now I'm putting the flat roof pieces, kind of finishing up the build and stuff. So it's not quite finished yet, but I'm just trying to finish up and tidy up some places, because I don't really like when I'm building stuff in Planco. Sometimes I can be really messy, like as you can see from the main street. The main street right now, it's a mess. Like it doesn't have any backstage. Like if you turn around and turn to the edge, it's like they broke off a piece of the main street in the game. So right now, this P, because I'm really dedicated and I've really gotten more skilled in the game from the time, because from this part you can really see my progress of skills in Planet Coaster. So I think maybe later I'll get back to Main Street, but for now it's a mess. So relating to this build, you can see right now I don't like when you build something and it's not tidied up and stuff. So it's really like my pet peeve. Like if I build something, I usually like it tidy and clean. When I turn around, it's like an actual building, so not like what I did with the main street right now. So yeah. So I'm copying down from the copying this windows that I got from a workshop item that was made by Anigmandra, and I think she also copied it from Rudy Renkmel's Arabian build that he did a while back, Camel Kingdom Park. And I was really inspired by that actual district in his park, and so that was really one of my main inspirations for this park. So those windows were from Anigmandra's build, which I think was from Rudy's build. So now I'm trying to put some finishing touches on the castle, trying to put some clutter, some plants, trying to like filled that hallway. That hallway right now was pretty empty, and so I decided to put windows on the walls so that it looks like an actual hallway, than to just putting like, maybe usually people just put like a dark art-shaped piece and make you forget about it, but I wanted to make it look like somebody actually lives in this castle. So I put the windows down, and I think it really came out nicely, and it looks a tad bit more realistic. So I was not really satisfied with this stained glass piece. I think I later settled for the stained glass pieces made by, is it Wheelabix from the Theme Maker's Toolkit, and I think that was much better than what you're seeing now in this build. So right now I'm moving on to the nighttime lighting of this area, of this castle, and I really made it like kind of subtle. Like to the top the lighting is brighter, and at the bottom it's kind of like an orange kind of hue, as you can see right now. So it's really happy with that, how that came out. And one thing I really noticed was really interesting was that when I put the spotlight pieces in the ground, like it made the stairs to light up, and I really like that effect, the effect it created. So I decided to put that spotlight, as you saw in the previous time. I put the spotlight and it like highlighted the staircase and really made it come out and pop out, and I think it really came out. As we're nearing to the end of this video, I'm putting down the foliage to make it look more nicer and stuff like that. And now I think we're heading to the ending of this video. If you've been watching so far, that means you're a really true subscriber. And maybe if you're not subscribed and you're still watching right now, please subscribe and leave a like on this video. Comment down below if you like what you're seeing so far. And yeah, as you can see right now, the foliage really tied most of this build together, and I was happy with the way it came out. Getting to the end of the video, I'd like to say thank you if you've watched this whole thing and listened to my talk so far. Turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I post any new videos. And yeah, see you next time. Until then, bye for now.